Let's get started. Well, welcome to Forgotten Liberty Radio, the voice of liberty in the Central Valley. I am Matthew. I am joined in studio by Pat and Aaron. How are you two doing tonight?
Doing great, thanks.
Thank
John? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm good, Matthew. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. John is on the road. Hey, John. How are you?
Hi, John.
We're wonderful from southbound 99.
Awesome. Well,
you're on the road, bud.
Drive safe.
Yes.
Before we get started with today's episode...
You are. You will.
Yes, we know you are. Well, before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our sponsorship opportunities. We are always looking for new sponsors. The show does not run for free. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, get in touch with us, ForgottenLibertyRadio.com, or you can give us a call, 209-214-8099. We'd love to get in touch with you about our sponsorship opportunities. Well, we have an interesting topic tonight. What do we got tonight?
Well, I think we've got some. We're going to talk about climate change.
Oh, okay.
But we've got some other issues that kind of really lead into this climate change and kind of things that maybe people haven't thought of. Because I know there's a lot of people who know a lot about climate change as a hoax and why it's a hoax and what's going on. But I think John has some pretty good ideas or some interesting little tidbits that maybe some of us haven't thought of. So, John, did you want to start talking right away about what's going on here in California and how that affects the climate change as far as our economy goes?
I don't know that these things that are on my mind affect climate change, but they're definitely being pushed because of climate change.
Okay. They're all related. All related. That's all I'm saying. So,
here recently, several articles, some bills at the last minute this last session of our legislature. These heavy highway vehicles are going to have a smog check. People are all up in arms about this. They want us to smog these trucks every 2 years. I'm in a semi truck right now. I own trucks. I operate trucks. We already have to do a smoke test every year. It's nothing new. A lot of operators of vehicles over 14,000 gross vehicle weight rating are learning that they're affected by this stuff. I've been on Facebook and the internet for years telling people these things are the case.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they want CARB to do pilot programs, find a way to smog these semi trucks effectively and efficiently, and treat them just like we do with the automobiles and the pickups as far as smog goes, like a biannual deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've as a nation, because it's federal mandates, the DPFs, diesel particulate filters, with the diesel exhaust fluids and all these advances in diesel emissions technology that have come about over the last decade. I'm in a 2008, and the emission system on this truck is not as sophisticated as the emission system on one of the 2019 models, of course, but people don't realize exactly what's coming down the pipe for them, and they're just starting to realize it. Well, it's because of climate change and air quality, or the I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
The standards?
The perceived issue with poor air quality. We always hear, it's a red flag day or green flag day, what's spare the air day. Look at pictures of Los Angeles, over the last 100 years, where we have photographic evidence, and automobiles have most certainly been around that whole time. You know, prior to automotive smog and emissions standards in this nation, yeah, there were days down there that you couldn't see through the valley, but not all of that was automotive related. Some of this is dust related from agriculture, from feeding people, you know.
Right.
Right. And then they used to allow burning. The farmers used to burn a lot.
Yeah.
Well, right. But it seems like people are just learning of things that have happened, you know, years ago, and they're really having some heartburn with the fact that they're going to lose use of their possession. You know, basically the state of California, under the fear of weather, because let's face it, the climate changes. We call that weather. You know, we went from almost 100 degrees today. It's Thursday, and we're going to be, they say, to 70 degrees by the end of the weekend. Is that climate change? Well, the climate has changed in 4 days, but that's a high pressure system leaving and a low pressure system coming in. So let's change the regulation on all our personal property, because the temperature changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are finally starting to wake up to hey, this isn't happening the way that they said it would.
And just the cost alone. I mean, we were, when I was doing my research, and I've listened and read a lot about this issue for many years now, and just the cost of what it takes to get the clean energy from the windmills, from the what else is there? From the solar panels. You have no idea the amount of pollution that comes from producing those two forms of energy to make energies to make energy is horrendous. It's just not cost effective. Plus the fact that the amount of the rare earth minerals that they have to get out of the earth to produce those windmills is horrendous. I mean, it's not only difficult to get to, it's very expensive and very time consuming, and what it does to the earth is terrible as well. So this doesn't make sense.
When we're talking about the what it takes to get the mineral out of the ground, of course, mining is an industry.
Correct.
All miners do reclamation of some type.
They do. Okay? That's correct. I will stand on that one. Yes, you're right.
We're my family, anyways. Through my youngest brother is very close to AMRA, American Mining Rights Association, and whether they're large scale or small scale miners, they do their reclamation, and they do their due diligence to leave the earth in a state.
And why do they do that?
Why do got there?
Yeah, why do they do that, John? Do they do that because they're forced to, or do they do that because they love the earth and they love what they're doing?
I think like people in the ag industry, they're great stewards of the land.
There you go. That's where I was going.
I don't think it actually has anything to do with what the regulations force you to do or not do.
Exactly where I was.
You watch Gold Rush on Discovery Channel. I don't want to give them a free commercial here or nothing, but Parker Schnabel, Tony Beats, those guys, they flatten the land back out with the tailing.
Yes.
They make it like they weren't even there.
Right.
If you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know they were there when they're done with their reclamation.
Right.
And and that's just so that it's safe for the next person that comes along.
Right.
So even though we see these big pits in the ground in China and Venezuela, Mexico, that kind of thing doesn't happen here in the United States as much.
No,
That's right.
No. Well, the coal industry, I lived in a coal mining area for a long time. They had huge pits, and they every time they would close up that part of the mine, they would reclaim it, and it would look better than it did before we even started mining there.
Right.
So anyway, that's where I was going with that. Good. Yes.
Good points, guys.
I mean, at the same time, okay, we're talking about all these items to make electricity from solar or wind. Well, they take those metals to conduct the electricity. Now, you want to talk about someone who's made a fortune, an absolute fortune off of tax credits and government subsidies for this clean power, clean automobiles. Mr. Elon Musk and Tesla.
Yep.
But I got to tell you guys, on I-80 between Nevada state lines in the past month, there's been 3 fires, complete trucks of Teslas burning down in the desert over there.
Right.
What about all the plastics that are catching fire? The lithium-ion batteries, the foams. I mean,
what is that doing to the environment? Good point.
What offset did those Teslas have the potential to make, and then they just burned down in the desert? Well, that's not California, so it's not important. Because last I checked, the jet stream took the air from here to there and back to here.
Yeah. It's no. It's just not. It's just not. Doesn't make sense. It's a lot of it's senseless. So, where do we want to go from here, guys?
Well, I was just gonna. John mentioned all the.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to go to properly maintained vehicles burn cleaner than this truck with this DPF filter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Properly maintained vehicles operate cleaner than the smog technology introduced from the 70s to today, and most of it introduced under Jerry Brown. And why? Because if you follow the money, the Brown family was in aftermarket automotive parts. Okay, this guy, his family made their money off of smog devices. Okay, not only that, do your research. The Browns own oil land in this state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
So then I think where Aaron was going, what I brought up, Jerry Brown. So Donald Trump says he's going to challenge California's clean air standards, emission standards on these vehicles, right?
Is that where you were going to go?
The state's gonna fight this, right? Donald's fighting it. The state's fighting it. Who has the authority to do what? Bottom line, California went. Jerry Brown went to China, made a treaty with China,
which was constitutional or unconstitutional?
Well, we need to talk about that, though, right?
Yes.
So I can't read it. Can somebody read?
Yes.
Who's
we
responsible for doing treaties?
As a matter of fact, I got it right here in my handy little Constitution book. And that would be Article 2, Section 2. And under treaties and appointments is Article 2, Section 2. He shall have the power, meaning the president, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur.
So does that mean that the governor of California can have a treaty between California and China?
Absolutely not.
Is the governor of California or the California Senate, for that matter, mentioned in that article?
No.
So listen, here's something that our listenership probably doesn't even know. It's not Congress, is it? It's the president and what? 2/3 of the Senate.
Senate,
Yep.
yes.
Right?
Right.
Because why? Because treaties are agreements between nations.
Yes.
Okay? And under Article 2, Section 2, the 50 states have granted that authority to the United States Senate and President. Now, Jerry Brown, in his infinite wisdom and him and his clean air gods and his climate change, prophecies, he's going to go over there and make a deal with China, probably the worst polluter in the world, China.
They are, yes, number one polluter.
And Jerry Brown is going to make a deal for clean air. And then Jerry Brown's going to come in after Donald Trump says, hey, we need some continuity across the nation where these heavy highway vehicles are concerned. We're not discussing the automotive smog. That's not the issue. That's not the hot button thing right now. The issue for Donald Trump and the United States EPA on this is whatever happens in California with these vehicles affects the entire nation. These trucks just don't roll in California. You got trucks that aren't going to be able to come into California to do commerce, and you got trucks that have to leave California and go to other states because they're no longer able to be used in California. And I don't even think it's a clean air issue. I think it leads more to a property use issue.
Would you say property use? Property use?
Property use, yes. So I have a pink slip for the truck that I'm currently driving, a 2008 Peterbilt.
Right.
And I do not owe any liens on this vehicle. It's owned outright.
Okay.
So in 2023, the California Air Resources Board has deemed my truck that I'm currently operating to be illegal to use. They have said, come January 1, 2023, at 12 a.m., you will no longer be able to utilize that truck in the state of California because it does not meet our air quality standards or our emissions standards.
Right. This is actually happening right now. I mean, I know of someone who can't even retag one of his trucks. He has to sell it here in California. So he can't sell it to anyone
can't
here.
Even sell it in California.
No, he's selling it to someone out of state. So this is just now that 2023, is that because that particular age of your truck?
Particular emissions that is on my vehicle.
Okay.
So it came in waves. And if you go to the California Air Resources Board /truck stop, it tells you all about.
So you're going to need to probably buy a new truck. Is that what they're trying to do then?
So right now the deal is, any of the trucks pre-2007 with engines built before 2007, those trucks had to retrofit, okay, or change their exhaust systems, modify their exhaust systems.
How costly is that?
Well, at the time, in the beginning, that was like $30,000. A guy could spend upwards of $15,000-$20,000 doing it today, but they can't even retrofit the truck anymore.
Oh my!
Right?
Wow!
Because the truck could only have been retrofitted to 2007 standard. Well, so they spent that money to retrofit that truck. Now that truck only gets them till 2021, 2022, or 2023, depending on the age of the vehicle or the age of the engine in the vehicle. Because unlike your passenger cars or pickups, we as heavy highway vehicle use owners can repower the vehicle to a later standard. Like in 2023, if I want to put a new engine and exhaust system on this truck, then I can keep the truck. But let's be realistic, it's got 700,000 on it now. Why not just buy another truck with lower miles?
Right. I wonder how many.
Instead of pouring $40,000 into this one.
So you think this is definitely by design then, and who is profiting from this then, John? Who do you believe?
Well, I don't know that it's by design to make any one company profit from it. We do know that the science doesn't work.
Right.
We do know that the man that came up with this technology didn't even have a legitimate doctorate. We do know that CARB overlooked all that. We do know all these things.
Yes.
We do know that just like the Tesla's burning in the Nevada desert, trucks have burned down because of these emission systems. They've burnt on the side of the road.
Right. They have to burn so hot. Yeah. Right.
And okay, so at what savings, right? And we're averaging 7 to even lower than that. Some trucks are only getting 6.5, 7 miles to gallon. With these systems, where before you could get a truck up 12, 13 miles to the gallon. Well, if you have an emission system on the truck that's costing you twice as much fuel, how is that benefiting the environment?
That's a good question. It certainly doesn't seem logical to me.
Well, you're burning twice as much, but let's make it out of soybean oil so that it's biofuel, and then it can be all pretty. Well, if we're already burning biofuel, why do we have to put these burners on the truck? Hey, I'll be quite honest with you. You can go to any service station or dealership that works on heavy highway vehicles and ask them, what is the majority of your work? And they'll tell you since 2007, the majority of the work, 90+% of the repairs are emissions control related because the systems do not function.
It seems like part of it, I think, is the fact that the left, Democrats, the progressives, they don't like independent contractors, working for yourself, small business, and ultimately they're wiping out small business and independent contractors by doing these kind of things.
But
that's a good point. That's a good point.
On this, I can't even let you go there on this because this is strictly on an emissions or a climate or a clean air issue for them. They're not even taking into consideration what they're doing to the business. They're not taking it, and that didn't even cross the mind of CARB or cross the mind of the governor or cross the mind of the legislature when they enact these things. So I understand how people can feel like it's an attack on small business or the independent operator, but really, if I honestly believed that was the case, I'd say so. But I don't believe that they even had the idea in their head to target business or to target anything other than what do we need to do to get to a cleaner air situation. We're to the point where we're limiting carbon dioxide. I mean, there is nothing we can do to make our air any cleaner than it is.
Right. Because we're never going to get around the particulate matter.
Well, and then
it's not even particulate matter. I mean, we're talking about gases that are naturally occurring amongst any life form. carbon dioxide is their big claim to doom here.
And it's not.
Methane is their big claim to doom. Nitrous oxide and all these naturally occurring things. You look, these, Yellowstone vents more of these gases on a minute to minute basis than all the trucks on 99 right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, when I was looking at all of these different areas and people talking about carbon dioxide, I mean, we're certainly going to have. Wouldn't that be awful if we someday have not enough carbon dioxide? Because plants need carbon dioxide to grow, and what's going to happen when we don't have enough carbon dioxide?
Good point, Pat.
Newsflash for CARB in the state of California and the EPAs all around the world. We are at a low carbon dioxide level today.
Yes, we are. That was my point.
It's proven that the plant life that was around in the prehistoric times with the dinosaurs was much more robust. The size of the plant was larger. And why was that? Because of the availability of the carbon dioxide for that plant life to grow to that size.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we can put tomatoes and other strawberries, other fruits and vegetables in these greenhouses and pump in carbon dioxide and accelerate the growth of these plant life,
right,
for food production, and nobody bats an eye and says it's a bad thing. It's actually a great thing that we can do this, and every scientist will tell you it's being done because of the availability of the carbon dioxide for the plant to breathe efficiently. It's being done because of the nitrogen and the other elements that we're putting in, synthesizing a perfect environment. And then you come out of the greenhouse and our government says, you can't have this gas, you can't have this nutrient, you can't have that, you can't have the other. Well, and we need to change our vehicles because it's melting the ice caps. Got news for you. The sun's melting the ice caps, and we all know it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not even melting. I mean, they were talking about how they measure the Antarctic, and they only measure the coastal areas of the Antarctic. They don't even measure the cores that are farther inland. So even if the Antarctic was melting, it's not going to raise the level of the ocean. Put an ice cube in a cup and let that ice cube melt, and what happens? Does that water overflow out of the cup? No, it doesn't.
No, it has the same volume.
That's right.
The cup has the same volume as before, and if the ice fit in it before, it's going to fit in it when it's water.
Yes, that's it. It just did. Anybody with any kind of common sense can figure this stuff out themselves. The problem that I have with it is what they're doing to the kids at school. What they're teaching our children, and First
of all,
go ahead.
First of all, they don't know anything else because they were taught these things. Our teachers today that are in your generation, okay, the people that taught my generation are all retired.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're all gone. So
yep.
Who's teaching the children now? Well, the people coming out of college and replacing the baby boomers as teachers aren't even in my generation.
No.
They're in Matthew's generation.
Yes.
We're talking 23, 24, 20 to 30-year-old people coming into this profession who have just absolutely been brainwashed. And why? Because men and women my age were too busy trying to start a family and establish themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
To watch what was happening with with Matthew's generation to say, and well, we were younger and not engaged like we should have been, not like I am today, where, hey, I'm 40 something now and I'm starting to become very active and engaged. We weren't down there telling these school boards, no, you're not going to allow this to happen. You're not going to teach these kids these things. You're not.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. It's junk.
It is junk.
We've
junk.
been keeping track of. We've been record keeping for 150, 160 years, weather records, and out of that 150, 160 years, even if you believe in the historical timeline of the Bible, let's face it, a handful of thousands centuries. So what? 7,000 years, 14,000 years. Different people have different ideas on how old the Earth is. I'm not going to come in and say one person's right or one person's wrong. We do not know. No one alive today knows exactly when the Earth was formed or the heavens were formed. Nobody was there to see it. So any idea is just speculation or faith. Now, I'm not going to knock someone's faith in the occurrence of something a set number of years ago, but we do not know. And all I'm saying is, even if we take core samples and we believe those ice core samples to be 115 billion years old or whatever we think that particular person thinks, okay, which I don't even know that they can read those right. We can read tree rings correctly because we've watched this over our lifetimes, but we don't know how many storms layered up and made. Oh, we know that each storm is a layer of ice, but is it a storm? Is the layer of ice? Is it a year's the layer of ice? We don't know.
Right.
In that core. So we can't say what was what when. But we do know these things, carbon dioxide has fluctuated throughout the ages on this planet. We do know that winters some winters have more snowfall and ice than others. Some summers are hotter than others and cooler than others. We know that just from living in Modesto, that some summers are hotter and some summers are cooler.
Yes.
And
but there's nothing, nothing that we have done. I know this with my every inch of my being. Nothing we have done has changed that fact that some summers are hotter and some summers are cooler. That
right.
Man has not changed, not had any effect on that.
Right. Take this into consideration. Everywhere you walk by, it's the storm drain. What do they say? Only rain down the drain, right?
Right.
Because if you pour oil down the drain, it's going to pollute the water. If you do this, it's going to do that. You do that. We can't do anything. My opinion is mankind cannot do anything to this planet that the planet cannot repair itself from. And if you think we can, you're delusional, and you have a mental disorder that needs to be examined post haste, like immediately. Because listen, and I'm gonna give you everyone my evidence to that fact right now.
Okay.
During World War I and World War II, how many tens of thousands of gallons of diesel fuel and oil and chemicals went to the bottom of the ocean? Untold gallons of petroleum products, of highly toxic substances, right? Went to the bottom of the ocean. What is the first thing that is abundant in the ocean?
Water.
Plant and animal life. We could not destroy this planet if we tried, except for a nuclear holocaust. And I will not say nuclear war, because once we fire, they fire. You no longer have war. You have nuclear holocaust.
Wow,
That's
we
right.
are all over the place here.
Yeah.
There's another. Also,
I mean,
right.
Everything ties in, though. Even though we're all over the place, all these things contribute to clean air, clean water. Climate change is just what they're calling the clean air and clean water debacle.
Nobody wants polluted air. Nobody wants polluted water. Everyone wants a clean earth. And
Right.
it's just
My point is the earth cleans itself.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess we could sum that up by saying, what is the solution to pollution?
You learn the first thing you learn in chemistry, right?
Right.
The solution to pollution is dilution.
That's right.
That's it. All right. I always forget that one. So silly.
And hey, I'll be 100% legit with everyone right now. Ponder this for a moment. While we can get zero additional water on planet Earth,
Yep. That's true.
every drop that this planet has is still here.
That's right.
If every piece of ice in this world melted tomorrow, there would still be less water in the oceans than there was before human beings even existed. You want to know why? Because we're some 80+% water. Population of this planet is higher than it has ever been in the past. So there is a great abundance of water tied up in animal and human life.
I don't know where to go from there on that one. Where to go from there?
Right.
Go ahead, John.
But if there's more, so the argument is the Earth is warming or the Earth is cooling,
And it
Or-
always has been,
or the
always
Earth-
will.
or the Earth is polluted and the Earth is this. So we were at global warming. Well, now we can't do that because the 70s come along and now we're global cooling.
You know, there
and
is.
then,
Go ahead. I have one
and
other
then
example.
yeah,
Go ahead. Finish.
ahead.
Well, I have one other example of you were talking about World War I and World War II and all of the chemicals that were used and have gone into the ocean. Think about what happened with those oil rigs that blew up in the Gulf of Mexico.
We have the Deepwater Horizon.
Those. Now, those. I thought I actually really did. This happened a while back, and I was listening to some people, and I actually was falling for this. This is horrendous, and we're never going to live. This is going to be the end of the world. It really did scare me. But then now I look at it, and there's no trace of that of that spill. There are microorganisms in the ocean that actually feed off the oil that naturally seeps out of those oil.
That was all unrefined.
Yeah.
So it was out of the earth. So it was natural.
Right.
It wasn't a man-made.
Well, they did the same thing with the Exxon Valdez, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's the same recycled fear, and
It
that's
is.
all it is.
That is.
It's recycled fear. But what's happening in California? Well, everything ties back. Well, right now it's a climate change deal, but let's just go with this. AB5. When we talked to Debbie Ferrari, what was brought up about CARB and the clean air grants for the newer trucks, that these guys are still getting these grants. Now AB5 is going to put them out of business, and those trucks have to be sold. Well, now we know we can't have owner-operators anymore, so those trucks are being sold out of state, and now those men and women are without use of their personal property, and those cleaner trucks are off the road. Well, but we got these guys and gals going bankrupt, having to pay CARB back for that money right there.
Well, then it does affect business. This is I think you were saying that it doesn't have anything to do with putting people out of business. It kind of does.
I don't think the implementation
You don't think it does?
of the rule was meant to affect business.
So you think
AB5 definitely was targeted at the business, but see, the consequences of AB5 were even unthought
So you just think
of.
it was just a consequence? A consequence
Yeah,
of
it's all consequence.
Okay.
It's all action and reaction, right?
Okay.
They don't think about it because
Okay.
there's only 120 people up there looking at what's in front of them right now, and they're looking at what's in front of them right
Got
now.
it.
As let's be clear, Ana Caballero is our senator in this area of California. Well, at the state level, might be someone different for your neighborhood, but for mine, in Ceres, Ana Caballero, it goes all the way to Salinas and Merced, Los Banos, all this. Well, what are we doing? We're doing agriculture. And what does agriculture rely on? It relies on trucks. And when I call this office and talk to them, oh, we'll let the senator know. Well, we know we'll let the senator know, but the senator's sitting up there voting on this AB5 like it's just going to protect workers. Well, congratulations, Anna. You just crippled the economy in your senatorial district. And everybody else does the same thing. They just look at what the title is. And it, these issues that we're discussing while it does harm business, they don't even think about what it's going to do to business because they look at it like the Worker Protection Act. Well, if I vote no on this, then the workers in my district are going to go and be mad at me. No, not really, because the worker mindset is changing to get back to a more independent type of operation, right? I mean, how so many people are telecommuting or doing these independent operator type of independent contractor type positions that now they have to change the rules to stack the game in opposition because they're losing money, right? The government's losing money,
And the unions too.
or the unemployment insurance is not able to sustain the ridiculous standard that they've set, where for how many years under Barack Obama were we just paying people to sit home for a year and a half at a time? Well, now those insurance funds are broke, so we need to come up with this program to make everyone an employee, so every employer is paying in unemployment insurance on every person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or every independent contractor has to form his or her own business and make themselves employees of their own business and hire more people and manage more people and pay workers' compensation insurance on these people. They'll tell you state fund workers' compensation is an independent corporation, but why is it called state fund?
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because it's California state backed. And if it doesn't have any money, it's because they're paying out too many claims. It's not because of the way that people are doing business or how the business environment's changed. But they don't even think about anything like it's going to put trucks out of business or it's going to hurt agriculture. They know what they've heard from the unions, and they know what they've heard from the state agencies. Well, we need money, or we need this, and if you just do this for us, then it'll make the union stronger, and the union can give you more. Well, they don't even think about, I'm gonna put ag out of business. I'm gonna put truckers out of business. I'm gonna put the Uber out of business. I'm gonna put the Lyft out of business. Let's make no mistake, AB5 targeted Uber and Lyft. The new diesel smog bill targets the diesel trucks as far as clean air goes. When they did that, they're just looking at clean air. They're not looking at anything as far as hurting business. When they did AB5, they weren't looking rationally at affecting business. And, I got to be honest with you. Brian Dolly, for everything that the other radio program did to slam this man, you know, he got up there on the Senate floor and he said AB 5 is a bad deal. As a commercially licensed driver, a Class A license holder. Now, he called it a Class 1. The guy's a moron of the highest order. He's not very intelligent, but he fits right in with the people in that movement up there. But he got up and he stood up for the people and he spoke. He was like one of very few that said this is going to cripple our state. You know, and for all the heat that he takes up there, you know,
Did that. Yeah. At least he did
guy
that.
stood
Yeah.
up for what was right.
That's it.
As far as AB 5
That's
goes.
right. Wow.
And he was
That's
one
good.
of the only ones that me, as an avid follower of that assembly bill, I mean, I was all over the place on this. Everybody knows. I was commenting, sharing. I got California Truckers Guild on the program. I pushed for all this. I pushed to get that information out to everybody on every resource I had. And he's one of 12 people, 13 people that actually in our 120 person government that stood for the people. And I just hate that, you know, a guy like that gets slammed all the time by these so-called patriots and these so-called, you know, conservative warriors pushing for fairness and liberty. You know, he talked about these things, but that's a totally different subject.
Well, that's one of many that we've brought up tonight. We brought up quite a few subjects that's for sure tonight. It was totally interesting to me because and everything really does tie together. If you think about what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do what they're doing, and the unintended consequences of what they're doing, we just have to. What can we do? I mean, we've got to figure something out.
But what are they doing? Are they actually trying to make the air cleaner or the water cleaner, the air cleaner? Does anybody actually believe these politicians at their core are addressing a legitimate issue?
Unfortunately, John, there is a certain population of California, of the United States of America, who do believe this. Yep. And we are, you know, butting our heads up against a wall if we're going to think we're going to change their minds. I mean,
right,
there's one.
At the same time, you ask those same individuals that you're referring to, do you believe that your legislatures have your best intention
That's
at
a good
heart?
point. They'll probably say yes.
And they tell you, no, they say no. Because, right, everybody, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, everyone dislikes something about government.
Okay. Well,
right?
that's a point. I'll take that one. There is one person I can.
They're not doing enough.
No.
Or they're doing too much. And then you got guys like me that are on these forums and saying they're only allowed to do this. Why are you allowing them to do that? And why are you over here asking them to do the other? I mean, now we have Republicans standing for red flag laws, right?
Yeah, we do. We do, unfortunately. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, and these men are like, they're doing these things in opposition to their base.
And why are they doing it? Because they want to be reelected. Well, that's their point. I mean, that's what they're trying to do.
Why are they doing it? Because they believe in 2020 the wave is going to be blue, because that's what the television keeps saying. Well, but in these cycles, we keep losing from this side to that side, you know, and the bottom line is it's all about power. And I don't care if it's federal or state. don't. None of them think about how these things affect us. How these votes they make or these bills where they're obfuscating our liberties and
Right.
affect us. All they see is reelection, reelection, reelection.
That's it.
Okay.
And yeah,
So what's the newest thing on Josh Harder's page? He's there with a stuffed nutria. Do we all know what a nutria is?
Yeah,
I do.
big swamp rat.
Yes.
It's not even a swamp rat, right? It's just this big rodent, yeah?
Yeah.
They
Well,
just
you
like
could-
wet areas, and people call them swamp rats. So he's like, I'm in Washington, and I'm trying to get rid of the swamp rat,
Oh,
right?
What?
Well, first of all,
Let's just get rid of the swamp first, and
Yeah.
then we'll get rid of the swamp rat.
the nutria is an invasive species in
It
the
is.
state of California.
Yes.
Okay, this species being in California, you know, even as a Californian, and the damage that it's doing to our ecosystem is not a federal issue. It's not a federal problem. Yeah, I know the nutria are in Florida, and I know the nutria are in Louisiana, and I know the nutria have made it to California, but these are state issues. This is not something for Josh Harder to be out there. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing for the swamp rat. I want to eradicate the swamp rat. You know what? Get California out of our butts, and we can walk around our property with our shotguns or our rifles, and our ag people will take care of the swamp rat that's chewing through their levees.
Yeah. That's
You know, what we need in California is a depredation permit, or we need the standards relaxed federally. What standards that never should have been there, but they got put in because some animal guy wanted the animals taken care of, right? So that bought votes that way, but now we got to do away with this rat, so we got to change the rules so we can get the ag vote, right?
there it is.
Or-
Always chasing the vote. That's it. That's exactly it.
And that's all it is.
Yep.
That's all it is. Unintended consequences of chasing your vote. But
That's
you
it.
don't. But people don't even know, realize what they're giving away, or how they're being manipulated. But the reason they're being manipulated is since 1910, 1913, we've had this false sense that these people control the size of our government, right? And it all gets back to reapportionment, and it all gets back to increasing the size of our legislature in California.
Well, that
So it
was a
comes
good way to
full
come back
circle.
into that.
So it comes full circle
That's
back
it.
to where we're going with everything, with
Right.
the initiative, and where I've been going with the reapportionment when I sit down with Josh Harder and bang my head against the table because I know he's not listening, and because I know that he doesn't understand that the House of Representatives can be grown through a single bill, through the same action that he's doing to try to curtail the swamp rat or the nutria.
Isn't that funny how that could work out, and that would be a federal issue.
Right. But you know what I don't see as well? Mr. Bob Elliott, let's just say Ms. Marla Souza Livengood, or whatever her name is, Mr. Ted House. You don't see these people on their Facebook pages, these candidates, bringing up the things I bring up. Why? And regardless of how I feel about you, Mr. House, as a person, you're not bringing these things up. So your candidacy, you're just searching for a vote. You're not none of the three of them are actually doing anything to convince me that they want anything but a job. And I mean, I got to be straight up, because a lot of our listenership and a lot of the people on this that know our listeners are involved in these campaigns especially very supportive of Mr. Ted House. But I've been talking about it. I've been planting the seed. Has Mr. House said anything about representation unless I ask him?
I don't think so.
Oh, right. No, right now we're looking for pictures of hobbies or pictures of this. Now I put a picture of my race car up there. You know, I'm gonna contribute. You know, so because I want to be that trusted advocate should he become elected, right? I want him to be able to hear what I have to say. So we don't want to burn a bridge, but at the same time, as a candidate, none of these people are talking about this stuff. So in my book, they're all equal to Josh Harder, where they're just looking for that vote, where they're all equal to our state assembly and senate, where once I have you, the consequences of my actions are irrelevant to what's good for you, but what will get me reelected.
Oh, it is that's where our politicians are right now. They really do want to be elected. I think eventually we need to talk, bring that subject up once again. But at this point right now, I think we're probably looking at wrapping this up, John. We were all over the place today. I hope this hit some of the. Some people were interested in some of what we're talking about. I'm sure it did, because we did touch on quite a few issues. And what do you say, guys? We're going to call it a night? Or did you have something else you wanted to do?
I just was going
to ask.
Yeah, speaking of the Nutria, I want to challenge our people out there, our listeners. If you can tell me how the Nutria got here, then we'd like to hear from you, because I want to hear how it got here. And if you know, then call this number, 214-4099. That's our number that you can reach us at.
Area code 209.
Oh, 209. I'm sorry.
Just in case you're not in the 209.
Because we wanted to. I think I heard that it came from.
Well, don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away.
We'll give it away.
Don't
next
give it
week.
away.
That's it.
Well,
Okay.
and come back next week and tell us.
We know where it came from, huh? And we want see if some of our listeners know.
Yeah.
I get it.
Exactly.
Good job, guys.
John, do you have any final closing thoughts?
No, John's all over.
Okay.
Well, you drive safe and have a good evening. I want to thank everybody.
John's almost parked. You people have ridden with me from Sacramento to Modesto almost.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's be. I was getting on it at 104 and 99 southbound, and I'm just turning into the Beard Industrial Park.
Well, good enough. Good enough.
That's good. Next time when we do this live, we should have like a little tracker. You know, like where's John right now? Like, and have it live updating on a map next to our radio, like a radio stream.
That'd be
Well, like where's Waldo?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Where in the world?
Yeah.
Just hope you obeyed the speeding laws and and because I know you're a safe driver, John. Thank you for being good.
I got the Bluetooth. You know, I'm hands free, and I don't think I got over the speed limit one time this evening. I'm not going to say I don't. From time to time, we need to drive faster than the posted speed limit for safety reasons.
Okay.
And
yeah.
All right.
I don't make it
I'm
a habit
gonna
of
agree with
wasting
that.
fuel though, because I'm in California and it's $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you average
Hurts.
6 miles to the gallon and it's $4 a gallon, you don't tend not to try to ask your horsepower to drink more than necessary.
Right. Good plan there, man. Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at feedback@forgottenlibertyradio.com or via our website, forgottenlibertyradio.com. You could also leave us a voicemail at the number that Aaron mentioned earlier, 209-214-8099. That's 209-214-4... I'm sorry.
4099 or
That's
8?
actually a good question. I'm going to go check this right now. Hold on. We would love to hear your questions and comments. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes or Spotify, Google Play, your podcast player of choice. I have confirmed the phone number. Pat gave me our business card. 209-214-8099. I believe that's what I gave Aaron earlier. I apologize. I have that wrong in my notes. 209-214-8099. Leave us your comments or questions. Again, don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcast player of choice, especially if you're listening to this on our website. Go find it on your podcast player. Leave us a 5-star review in the places that you can. We'd really, really appreciate it, and it actually does help our ratings. You can find us on the typical social media, Facebook, Twitter, even some alternative media such as Gab. You can also find our episodes on YouTube and BitChute. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio, and we'll catch you next time. Jefferson Liberty Radio is a production of Forgotten Liberty Media. The views expressed by the host or guests throughout the various episodes may not necessarily reflect the views of Forgotten Liberty Media as a company.